Hi guys, I'm back like 3 weeks later. So I'm here, no longer pregnant. I have had my baby. You can see him in the back right there sleeping. There's my son. He's asleep. And it's already been 3 weeks. He'll be 3 weeks old tomorrow. Yes, time has flown by. I'm sorry I haven't got to this video, the labor and delivery video, in a while. But it's just been busy and tired and trying to get everything, situated. And my husband's been here for the past 3 weeks too, helping me out. So that's all good. But I'm here to bring you guys today my labor and delivery video. First off, my son was born on November the 18th at 6:26 p.m. He weighs 7 pounds, 14 ounces, 20 inches long, and I was in labor for a total of 22 hours. Yes, 22 hours. And I had him vaginally. I didn't have a C-section, so yay. I did have an epidural, but it ended up wearing off at the end. So boo on that. But let me get started. On November the 17th, around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, my water broke. It was kind of leaking every time I got up, and I was like wondering if it was really my water. I put on a pad and I just kept going through pads. And I'm like, okay, this is not right. I'm not peeing on myself. This is my water. So I waited till almost 7 o'clock. That's when my husband got off of work. And I called labor and delivery and I let them know that my water had broke. So they told me to come on in, take a shower, take my time. So my husband got home. I started getting contractions then. They weren't that bad. He ate, I took a shower, got everything ready, and my mom and my mother-in-law and me and my husband took a trip to the hospital. I got there around 7:30, 8 o'clock, but they didn't have no rooms for me. They just admitted me. They put me in one of those rooms that they check you first to see. She didn't even have to check to see if it was my water. She could already tell. And that's when my contractions started coming even more stronger. I didn't really count them because I didn't know how the timing between the two. I just knew that I was having contractions. So they hooked me up. The lady put the IV in, which she really sucked at because my hand still hurts from where she put the IV in. It freaking hurt. I think she was like training or something. Anyways, they gave me some morphine until they could give me the epidural because they were waiting on a room because they were busy. So I waited there till almost 11 o'clock at night. The morphine made me really sleepy and kind of took the edge off of the contractions, but it wasn't doing that much. I told them I did want my epidural as soon as possible because I did not want to go through the pain. I wanted to enjoy my labor. Anyway, so I finally got into my room at 11 o'clock when they did shift changes, and the anesthesiologist came in like 5 minutes later and gave me my epidural, which she went in. It went more to my right side than my left side. So my right side was completely numb, and my left, it was numb, but I could still feel. So, whatever. And then, so they checked me, what was I? I was like, I don't remember. 3 centimeters dilated, 90% effaced at a -1 station, which is like they want you to be like a +3, which is I think is like the baby's head is all the way down, ready to push. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. And anyway, so they wanted me to dilate like every hour, dilate another centimeter. Yeah. And so by then I was all comfortable. The nurse said make sure that I get some rest, which I couldn't sleep, and it was very uncomfortable in there for my family because they were sleeping all sideways. My mom ended up sleeping in the car. Husband slept on this one chair that folded out. My mother-in-law slept on another chair, and it was just very uncomfortable. Then basically all they did was come in every 2 hours and check me. They checked to see how much I was dilated. They would make sure that I'm getting water in my IV and just making sure that my baby was, the heart rate and everything was fine. They had hooked me up and everything. So by the time the morning came, they noticed that I was only dilating 1 centimeter every 2 hours, and they wanted me to dilate 1 centimeter every hour. So they ended up starting me on Pitocin, and they wanted me, they only give you like 24 hours after your water breaks, otherwise you start getting an infection. So around 10 o'clock in the morning, I was like maybe, I don't remember, like 8 centimeters or 7 centimeters. And by this time, they've already switched doctors, they switched nurses. I've already switched nurses and doctors like twice. So that was kind of like, I really didn't like that, because then a new doctor would come in and they'd be telling you what to do and stuff like that. And the doctor that I had gotten, she really was trying to push me to get a C-section because I was not progressing like she wanted me to. And it kind of made me upset. I didn't like that because I really wanted to have him vaginally. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it, because if you in your heart can do it, then you can really just work really hard to do it, as long as your baby is okay. And my baby was fine. His heart rate was fine. Everything was okay with him. But then I started getting a fever. So they had to check my temperature every 15 minutes, and then they had me on the oxygen because my temperature just kept going up. It almost went up to like 105. But I just did not want to go get a C-section. So sometime in the afternoon, I'm not sure the time, because by this time my epidural was wearing off, and yeah. So I was at a 9.5. She gave me a half an hour to get to a 10. So finally, in that half an hour, I got to a 10, and she said I had a total of 3 hours to push. And if I didn't push him out and within the 3 hours, I'd have to have a C-section, because by then, since I already had an infection from my water breaking, he was in that infected area. I was having a fever and all this. I was really tired and stuff. So, by this time, I was really frustrated. I was gonna cry because I did not want to have a C-section. The doctor kept coming in and kind of like discouraging me because she just didn't see that I was progressing enough. But my nurse, she was really helping me out, and we started pushing. And so we'd push every 2 contractions. We'd push twice. Every contraction we'd push. And then we'd wait 1 contraction and do it again. And this went on for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And then the doctor would come in like every hour and check to see if there's any progress. And I actually asked them to bring a mirror so I could see everything down there, so I could get more motivation, because by this time I was so exhausted. I hadn't eaten, I hadn't drank anything. All I could eat was ice chips, and my mouth was just so dry. I was just so tired, and I felt so dehydrated and hot. By this time, they were taking ice water and putting it in like they were putting ice packs on me. They were putting on my head and like on my underarms, everywhere, to try and get my fever down. And also one of the doctors, the surgeons, came in. They wanted to see if I was progressing or not, because they were really wanting to do a C-section, but they were holding off. They wanted to, but they didn't want to, because they saw how much I was progressing, but I was just progressing slowly. But they saw how much I really wanted to push him out, and the nurse was like, me and her were like really trying to go for this vaginal delivery. And so my husband helped me, hold my leg and everything. And by this time I told her that the epidural was starting to wear off on my left side, and I could start feeling the contractions coming, and it was just like, I was like, okay. And then I could feel him more lower, because he was starting to go up, because every time that I would push his head, you could see his hair, and then after I was done pushing, he'd go back up, and that was really frustrating. but I got to see it in the mirror, so I kind of got a little bit more motivation. And so yeah, by then it was almost, what time was it? It was like 3 hours later, so it was like almost 6 o'clock. And by then my epidural had wore off. I was in so much pain. I was just like, but we just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And my goodness, I like by this time I don't even know who was in the room. I don't even know what was happening. I was just in this state of mind that I wanted to get him out because I was so tired. I didn't want to go to the C-section because he was just right there. They'd have to push him back in or something to do the C-section, and I didn't want to do it. And I was just so ready to do it. I was hot. I was thirsty. I was in pain. I could feel him right there. But it really gave me motivation. And they told me, well, they used to tell me when to push for the contractions, but after that, like the last half an hour, they stopped telling me when to push because I pushed on my own because I could feel the contraction coming, and I felt the pressure, and so I would just push, and they just kept telling me, push with your butt, push with your butt, push like you're going to have a bowel movement, and it was just like, my goodness, like you pushed the hardest you've ever pushed in your life. So I had a nurse on one side holding one leg, I had my husband on the other side holding my other leg, and I had my mom behind me, and she had the ice pack on my head, and she was pushing my head forward so I could push, forward to get him out. And like I just kept telling them, pull me harder. I was telling my mom, push me forward more, because I just, you just have to have all your energy inside you just to keep pushing, that motivation and stuff. And it didn't hurt. It did hurt, and I was really tired, but it wasn't like excruciating pain. It was just a lot of pressure down there. It was just a lot going on. And so by that time, what happened? The doctor came in and she checked me, and by this time they took away